Uh, so I want to thank all of the members and friends of Southern California, KTC, for organizing our get together tonight. Thank you for your practice and for doing the Dharma. I just got off of another call, another Zoom call tonight with Lama Karma. Lama Karma Drodol, friend of your center and mine, who is leading a 12-month book study of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche's Amrita of Eloquence. So I wanted to put in a little bit of an advertisement for this. He's going through the chapters of Rinpoche's biography, telling little stories about the founder of our Karma Thegsum Chöling network, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, talking about his life and about his family and about his training and all of the above. And so it was really good to get together with the folks from there tonight. And I want to do one other thing before we settle in, and that is I wanted to share a little bit of news with you, and that is that that today is a kind of a special day on the Tibetan calendar and the astrology calendar, in that it is called the Drupjor. Um, and this means it's a day when lots of good things could happen. It's a good day to do and to do things, especially Dharma things. And so we chose today to launch the new version of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche's website. And after Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche passed away a few years ago, we created a memorial site called Remembering Rinpoche. And it was so beautifully designed, and lots of really great stories about Rinpoche, and so forth and so on. But over time, we just did not have the person power to keep the website up, so we had to go with a simpler design. So we got it redesigned, and ta-da! It was just launched today. It's still under the title rememberingrinpoche.org, and so I just show you the new version. And those of you who remember, the last one was incredibly beautiful. This one is beautiful in a whole different way, and so it's very simplified and is aimed at remembering Rinpoche and his life. There's sections about. There's the home page about Rinpoche, about his parinirvana or passing, teachings, a gallery of photos, yes, pictures, some of which you will have never seen before, of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. And then the archive project, which we're not ready yet, but we're working in the background to create a set of archives so that Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche's teachings can be published and indexed, and people can have the benefit of his advice on all kinds of things. And then, of course, the stories of the students of Khenpo Rinpoche and of people whose lives he touched. And then there's nothing in the news section yet, but if you care to contact us and tell us your story about Rinpoche, we'd love to hear it. And so if you have photos and so forth to share, you can mention it in the email. So I just thought I would give a little shameless plug for this beautiful website, and invite you to read as much of it as you like, and and so forth and so on. So there you have it. And hopefully we will be able to have some featured video and audio coming up in the future. So anyway, thanks. Because Khenpo Rinpoche meant so much to so many people, and the part of the reason that we are doing the Amrita of Eloquence series on Lama Karma's book is to acquaint people with Khenpo Rinpoche and his teachings who had never heard of him before. So, and some people have actually joined this class who never met him, and they said that it was inspiring to them to hear about his life. So anyway, so there's a little bit about that. Now, let's see. This evening, we're continuing our series about meditation, getting familiar with your mind, and we have been hopscotching through this book, A Guide to Shamatha and Vipashyana Meditation by Thrangu Rinpoche. And during our last get-together last month, I came to a conclusion, and that was that I didn't understand some of the things in the book. So I decided that what we're going to do is we may or may not finish everything in the book, because it looks like some of it is a little too advanced for me to be able to explain. So, and that made me feel a little sad, because I thought, oh, tiny book should be easy. But Thrangu Rinpoche was a Khenchen, or a great abbot, and he had incredible learning in all kinds of areas, especially understanding all of the theories, the various theories of meditation and reality, which I unfortunately did not go to monastic college, so I won't have the same capacity. But I can talk to you about the simple things that my teacher taught me, and so that's what I'll be sharing with you. So today I'm asking us to look at page 33 in the book, and he says that the first that one of the things we have to do after we've been doing shamatha for a while is we have to find a way to allow our mind to come to rest in itself. Now, most of the time, most folks are familiar with bringing their mind to rest using an object, like the breath, or a stone, or a stick, or an image of the Buddha. And all of these are fine and wonderful. And in fact, what Rinpoche said was, if you find an object of meditation that helps you bring your mind to rest, that's beautiful. Just use that. He said, don't think you have to go looking around to find another object to rest your attention on. He said you can actually, he says, for example, if you connect to breath awareness meditation, you don't have to try to learn visual object meditation or anything like that. He said, just stick with what works for you. But then the other techniques have been taught in other places. But in this particular chapter, Thrangu Rinpoche is going to attempt to teach us how to relax our mind. Relax it comfortably in itself. I compare this idea to resting in an easy chair at the end of a busy day, where we're not trying to accomplish something, but rather letting the mind be. And so we'll start on page 33 and see the instructions, and see if these are things we might be able to try. He said under relaxing the mind, the first method of relaxing the mind is done by applying a particularly concentrated mindfulness and alertness for a very brief period of time. We then briefly relax our mind, allowing it to rest. Then we reapply strong mindfulness and alertness, and then relax the mind, and so on. This alternation of the forceful application, mindfulness, and then letting the mind rest will produce great clarity in the mind. So it's done repeatedly for very short times. We may feel that this is inadequate meditation because we cannot do a long period of intense mindfulness. A lot of people tell me that they are discouraged about their meditation because they can't meditate for long periods of time. But what he's saying here is that you don't need to feel discouraged. He said, nevertheless, he said, while the intensity of the mindfulness can't be prolonged indefinitely, the alternation of mindfulness and alertness with resting does lead to the clarity of mind. So this is something we can try. And I'll invite you to look around your surrounding and see if you can find something that this is best applied with a visual object. I have a little picture of the Buddha, and I will put that right here. So, and so that's something that you can do is place an object in front of you on your table. And we're going to take a second here to look at this object. Okay. So this is what he's talking about. First, you start with a bodhisattva motivation, thinking, I'm going to be doing this session of practice for the benefit of all sentient beings. And take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and generate bodhicitta. So that informs my practice and directs it toward awakening. Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche said that even if you're going to do a short session of any kind of practice, he says it's always best to start it with refuge in bodhicitta. So he said the refuge part aims it toward Buddhahood, so you're aimed in the right direction. And then the bodhicitta is, I guess you could say, it increases the benefit of what you're doing because you're doing it not just for yourself, but you're doing it for all beings. So you generate that mind of refuge and that mind of awakening, and then you place your attention on the object. And Situ Rinpoche did this with us once. He placed a flower on his table, and I explained this to you a few episodes ago, but I'll repeat the story now. That he said that what you do is, he said, you look at that flower or that Buddha image or whatever is in front of you. And he said, look at it very intently. Don't take your eyes away from it. He said, get a good idea of what you're looking at. Just stay present with the object. And then he said, without taking your eyes away from it, stop looking at it. And he said, this little exercise can help you understand how to relax your mind. And that's just one method. But you can do this with any object of meditation. And so the idea is that you look at it intently for a period of time, then remove the tension of it, and then relax your mind. You can either use the method that Situ Rinpoche described of looking at it intently, and then without taking your eyes away, relaxing your gaze and not looking at it anymore, not directly making yourself aware of it. The other is just to lift your gaze and just let your mind rest for a moment or two. And then the way that Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche explained this, that this would be done several times in a session, and then that would be it. So that means, the meditation session is actually very short. But after a person has been intently looking at anything, staying with it very intensely, and then relaxing that, then the mind itself begins to relax a little bit. So let's try it again, and then we can talk about it a little bit and see what you think about the technique. A lot of these things we're doing maybe for the first time. And we wonder, what is it all about? But the idea is that eventually we're going to be able to just relax our mind without the intense focus first. So let's see. Again, placing the object in front of you, forming the intention to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for the benefit of beings, and generating bodhicitta. Then again, you address your attention to this object, looking at it very intently, not taking your eyes away. becoming familiar with it. And then again, without removing your gaze from it, stop looking at it. It's almost like a tightening of a rubber band and then the releasing of the rubber band. And the reason I think he included this exercise in the book was I think he's trying to encourage us to experience our mind differently, because a lot of the time when we're meditating, we're fighting with something. Maybe we're fighting with an emotion or with our thoughts or with distractions. But what would it be like if we weren't fighting at all and we're just in a relaxed state of mind? And so I think this is the function of these little exercises. Some people like the exercises. Some people, they don't get much out of them. And that's okay, because over time we will find meditation exercises that help us to relax the mind. So does anybody have any comments or curiosities about this? I'm kind of curious what you thought of it.
I like how we did staring at the object and then not doing it anymore. It was a great little transfer over, and my mind kind of settled. And I like that part. I've never done that one before. I
Yeah,
like,
there was a group of about 100 people in the shrine room at KTD Monastery, and Situ Rinpoche directed everyone to gaze at this. He had like a bowl full of peonies, beautiful like rose-colored peonies, and they were big and full. And he said, just look at the flowers for a minute, you know. And he encouraged us, like, get it really well in your mind. It's like, fill your mind with these flowers. And then he said, without taking your eyes away, stop looking. Other comments or questions?
Yeah, how do you without taking your eyes away, how do you stop looking at it?
And this is why I think they teach several different exercises.
Okay.
Because it's not to for some people, it's not immediately like, what is that? You know,
Yeah.
and I think what it is it is, let's use a silly little example. Like if you look at a dot, really intensely at a dot on a piece of paper or something like that. And then it may be easier to do with a tiny thing like a dot.
Okay.
You look at the dot and look at the dot, and then you just allow the gaze to expand.
Oh, maybe that. Yeah, maybe it was too large of a.
It was too large of an object. Well, and it is kind of a different way of using your attention, isn't it? It's a different way of doing it. Other people will do it not so much with an intent gaze like that, but they'll look at a vast horizon. That's another way that people can learn how to relax their mind. And I'm getting a kick out of the fact that our friend Bruce has got the ocean view in his background. He uses his background as his background. He uses a view of the ocean. And if you do that, if you go out to or look out on the ocean, that's a really great time to relax your mind. And see, for some people, that will be short periods of just gazing at the distance or gazing at the sky, or the horizon like that, and just allowing your attention to stay with the line of the horizon, but relax and emphasize the sort of relaxation of that. That's sort of, I guess you could say, an opposite approach to the same idea. Some people work well with the intensity. Other people work better with the spaciousness. You could try them both and see. But the idea is to do this, if you can, to do it, every day if you can, just a little exercise like that. Because so many people tell me that meditation is like a struggle for them because they try to sit for a long time and it's not easy, you know, and so and they feel frustrated, and that's why, because we had this conversation last time, that this is why sometimes visualization meditations are easier for folks to do than quiet sitting. So you could just as easily meditate on a form of Chenrezig or Tara and then visualize that, close your eyes and visualize it. The only problem with closing your eyes when you meditate, though, is you might fall asleep. But those are other ways that you can learn how to work with a less solid object, is by visualizing a Buddha or Bodhisattva in space in front of you like that. Other things that people might want to talk about with this. Yes.
Me,
Yes.
when I'm looking, when you instructed us to look at it intensely and then stop looking at it intensely, this I could not feel my mind relaxing, but I certainly could feel my body relaxing.
Isn't that interesting?
So I
Yeah.
don't know if I ever have felt my mind. It's always been my body that's relaxing, and then there is a deflation, kind of the balloon losing
Yeah.
its air uh, type of a feeling. But I don't know what's happening up here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay because the mind and the body are together. They one affects the other. The mind affects the body and the body affects the mind. So you should be fine. Yeah,
Thank you.
but I'll bet have you had that experience of looking out at the ocean and just everything kind of falls away?
Yes, always. I have the good fortune to see the sea from where I live,
Oh,
and I look at the horizon quite frequently. And it's the delightful part about looking at the horizon is that before I look at it, I have forgotten about it, and I'm all tensed up. And the second that
oh,
I lift my gaze to the horizon, my body relaxes. Uh, so it's interesting how the mind plays tricks on me.
well, but it's really true. I remember Kempo Karthar Rinpoche, talked about it, and he said there's a whole series of meditations a person can do about whether their mind and body are the same or different. But remember, that's all that intellectual stuff that I just can't figure out. And but he said that the mind and body share a special relationship, and that the mind pervades the body. We do, as science people, associate it with our brains, but it's actually everywhere. He said you can't just say it's in the brain. He said because when you touch your knee, your mind goes there,
Mhm.
and when you touch your foot, your mind goes there.
Mm.
And he said you can even like think around a corner, and think about something that's away from you, you know.
Mm.
So, so the idea is that when the body and the mind, one relaxes, the other tends to follow. So it's kind of like that. So I think you're in luck.
Thank you.
Other things to talk about here.
I
Yeah,
have,
and that's, yeah.
oh, no, let somebody else go.
I don't know. I don't have anybody else, I don't
I
think.
just wanted to make a comment because
Sure.
he said she looks at the horizon because I also live by the sea, the ocean, but now I'm in the mountains. And what I found is my mind is very active by the ocean because of the waves and the movement. And sometimes it's hard for me to just be focusing on the horizon. But when
Sure.
I'm here in the mountains, everything is very still. And so it's a little bit easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so, my mind isn't so active.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that people, over time, they figure out their best environment, the best environment to be in, and they can arrange their environment in such a way that they can be there. But I think the main thing is to try to find a way to build some quiet um, relaxation in for the body and mind every day to just give ourselves a different way of being, so to speak. I appreciate you sharing that about the mountains. It's a long, it's a, let's see, Wyoming. That's a bit of a ways from California. So that's great. Ah, yes. Other things that people might want to talk about. Okay. Yes. I see a hand up, but oh yeah, it's Mike. Yes.
Are you muted, Mike?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not able to hear. Hmm. Is it working yet? No volume. Hmm. Oh, mysterious.
Do you want to put it on the chat?
You might have to put it in chat because your audio is not working somehow. Yeah, you were able to unmute, but then when you spoke, nothing. We couldn't hear you. For me, that might happen because my volume is all the way down. I've had that happen before. See if we get lucky. Okay, here's something in chat. Oh, no, that's not it. Hmm.
Now he's unmuted.
Okay,
Can
try again, Mike. Is your volume up? Hmm. Boy, I'll tell you what. Sometimes technical things they kind of get uh, mixed up. I do want to hear the question. Ah, darn. You might have to send a message to us because we are still not hearing. I'm trying to think if there's a way to send a message.
I sent him a direct message.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
And see if he can just tell the question to you through direct message.
You can reply there, Mike, if you get, oh, open the chat at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, not so far. Hmm. Well, as much as I'd like to hear your question, Mike, we're having some technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Darn. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Well, I'll tell you what. There's another thing. Can you send messages while can you type while you're on the thing? If so, then just type out the question and then we'll get to it a little bit later, okay? Yeah, yeah. So that's a darn. Hey, I'll tell you what, there are many stories like this in the Karma Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. Um, I remember reading that Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche used to call us the mishap lineage because so many things happened to our great masters. Milarepa, for example, when he was trying to encourage Marpa to teach him, he said, "I'm willing to do anything for you." So Marpa had him build a house for his son out of stones. And after he finished the house, Marpa took a look at it and said, "This is not where I wanted it. I want it over there." And so he made Milarepa take it down and then carry the stones to the other location. And then he had to put it there. And then he said, "No, no, no, that is not where I wanted it to go. I want it to go over here." So he moved this house several times. I can't remember whether it was 3 or 4, but it was quite a few times. So he did that so that Milarepa's karma of having committed many negative actions would be purified. So I don't know if we're going to have the same kind of problem with computers as Milarepa had with that house, but my goodness, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Yeah. So, okay. Well, then maybe we'll cover the second method of meditation that he's talking about here. At the bottom of page 33, Thrangu Rinpoche says, the second method of relaxing the mind is applied when we have established stable mindfulness and alertness and good clarity in our meditation. We then relax our fixation on how to meditate. We relax because we have applied strong mindfulness with the hope of creating a state of stillness and will be disappointed when our mind is not still. So we have to let go of being happy when our meditation is going well and disappointed when it is not. Rather, we should just maintain mindfulness and alertness in a relaxed way, knowing that thoughts will arise in our meditation. This is really also true. Let's see if I can. One of the key things that I find helps people when they're learning how to do meditation is that when I teach meditation for the first time, I don't tell people to focus and I don't tell people to concentrate, even though we just did that right now with that little example. But when I'm teaching general meditation, I tell people to place their attention on something rather than to focus or to concentrate. Because when you tell people to focus, they really try and they over-focus. And when you tell them to concentrate, they'll over-concentrate. So instead, I tell them to place their attention on the object and then recognize that once they place their attention on the object, it will stay there for a short period of time, and then after it's been with the object for a little time, it will wander. Your attention will wander, maybe into the past, maybe into the future, maybe you go round and round and round in the now. But when you notice that you're not with the object anymore, what you do is that you recognize that you're not with your object. You place your attention on the distraction. You can even label it thinking. Then you think about letting it go, and then you consciously usher your attention back to the object for a fresh start. And so I think that this is a little bit along the lines of what Thrangu Rinpoche is talking about here. Because when we think that our meditation is a big, important deal, then we will be really disappointed if we have distractions and really disappointed if it feels like it's not going well. Whereas if we do our meditation with a knowledge that we will have distractions, but that we can handle them. We can handle those distractions. We know they're coming, and we will bring our attention back over and over and over again. This can help. So this is what he's talking about here, is letting go of the concept of trying to have a perfect meditation. Does anybody have questions about this one? Okay. Then he talks about, then he says, another problem with relaxation of the mind is that we may experience an undercurrent of thought. This occurs when we only become aware of a thought long after it has arisen. In other words, there have been very subtle thoughts going on in our mind that were unrecognized by us for a while. Working with the undercurrent takes some care and attention. Usually, this experience indicates that our mindfulness and alertness is not strong enough. So, when we are applying the methods of relaxation and we become aware that we are actually thinking a thought sometime after it has arisen, then we need to put more energy and clarity into our mindfulness and alertness. And so what this means is that I had a friend who was able to do this, who actually experienced this. And she said what happened was she was doing breath awareness meditation and she was counting. So she would do in-breath, out-breath, and mentally count 1. In-breath, out-breath, mentally count 2, and so forth. But what she said was, after a while, she said she got so good at paying attention to the counting that she could actually count and stay with the meditation counting, but at the same time entertain thoughts on the margins of the conversation, of her meditation. And it's like, wow, that's a talent, but I'm not sure it's one you want to cultivate. So I said, why don't you try letting go of the counting and then just try to be with the breath? And then she said, yeah, but then I would notice my distractions. And I'm like, and the problem with that is? Anyway, we have to recognize that part of us is resistant to meditation, and part of us is just really, really, really dug in to our thoughts and not wanting to let go of them. And that's understandable because, as someone told me one time, we have used our brains and our thinking to make money. We've used our attention to detail to be good employees and good family members, and so we are disincentivized, if you want to use a big word, from being relaxed about things. We want to pay attention to things and to use our brains, and we feel that when we stop using them, maybe something is wrong. So, in any case, whichever of these 3 methods is useful, looking at an object intently and then relaxing, looking at it intently and then relaxing, if that helps to relax the mind, great. If looking at a distant horizon helps to relax the mind, that's great. And if trying to relax your expectations about your meditation helps, that's great. All of these will be helpful techniques in helping us to relax our mind more. Also, the technique of resting while reviewing a visualization. I think we talked about this last time, where there is a way of meditating on an object that involves visualizing a Buddha or Bodhisattva like Tara or Chenrezig or even Shakyamuni Buddha, imagining that they're in front of us, and we can actually work through the visualization from the top of the head of that Buddha, working down through all of the details of the Buddha's body to the lotus flower beneath them, and then back up again. This is this technique of clearly visualizing a deity from top to bottom and back up again, and then just relaxing with the entire image is also something that a person can do. You can either use a picture, because I think I showed a line drawing of Shakyamuni either last time or the time before. You can use that, or you can visualize an image, one of those two. So whichever of these methods you use, the idea is to relax the tightness that we feel. So sometimes it takes a while to find a technique that will help. Any questions about this? I'm scanning to see. Also looking at chat. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and finish this chapter then on page 34, the 3 stages in developing stillness. He said, practicing shamatha without an object has 3 main stages. In the first stage of meditation, there seemed to be more thoughts than we had before we began to practice. This is compared to a waterfall, where there are so many thoughts that we begin to think that the number of thoughts is actually more than before we had even started meditating. What actually has happened is that before we took up meditating, we had innumerable thoughts running through our mind, but we weren't aware of their presence. But now, when we are meditating with mindfulness and alertness, we are aware of all these thoughts. However, if we continue to practice, our thoughts will gradually slow down, and this leads to the second stage, compared to a large, slow-flowing river. There are still thoughts arising, but the speed of thought has decreased, so they don't distract us very much. When we continue to practice even further, eventually the speed of thoughts will be reduced to where our mind becomes like an ocean. Here, our mind is unmoving, and the thoughts are like waves on the surface of the ocean. This third stage is the attainment of shamatha. To develop this stillness, we need our mindfulness and alertness to be sharp, intense, and clear. And so, what I think is interesting about this is that we have to be able to notice things when we meditate. We're not trying to go into a trance or zone out. We're trying to have 2 things in balance, which is mindfulness and alertness. We need to be mindful of what we're doing, and we need to be alert to what we're doing, and we need to have the right amount of effort put into it. Because if we put too much effort in, we get headaches, or we get more distractions, and so forth and so on. So what we have to do is we have to find a way to relax into our meditation practice. And so I think that this is why it was fun to talk a little bit about ways to relax the mind. So at this point, I'm wondering if people have things that they would still like to learn about and to understand about meditation. And what we can do is then move to the last part of this book, which is bringing obstacles on the path. We can skip ahead to that part. So does anybody have anything in particular they want to make sure they learn about meditation, or something that's kind of like they're curious about? Because many of you have been doing meditation for quite a while, and I bet you've all enjoyed your meditation a lot, but maybe there's something else you want to learn about it.
Lama Kathy, you know how Kempo 10 sometimes does these meditations where he has all this active meditation? I remember like a long time ago, he was teaching us this way where he would just say something like, he'd be quiet, and then you would just slam down on your knees, and so he would say, "Watch your mind," like that. Um, is that a thing?
Is that what?
Is that a thing? I mean, like, is that? It's like an active meditation, if that even.
I've never learned it. So
That's
I never learned that kind. So I'm a little bit I'm a little bit uncertain.
uh,
But there's a type of meditation that Milarepa practiced where he would shout.
yeah.
But it didn't have to do with somebody slapping you, you know?
No, he didn't slap. No, he would go, he would do these. Daniel was there. We did it at his house a
Oh
long time,
yeah.
Tempo 10.
Oh
Maybe Dan
yeah.
chime in, I don't know. But he would do this active meditation, and then he would just say, you would just kind of touch your knees really hard and say, watch your mind, like
Oh,
that.
cool. So he had you standing up and moving
No, you
around?
were sitting down. You were sitting
Oh,
down,
okay.
but he was
But
like
when you say
talking.
active meditation, I
Well,
want to know more.
because he was doing something like slam, touching your knees really hard and then just saying whatever I don't know. Daniel, chime in if you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm messing it all up, but I was
Well,
just thinking about it when you were talking.
what I recall was we're just sitting in meditation posture, but then he'd have us like slap our knees,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
just like to wake us up,
Oh,
you
okay,
know.
sure.
And Deborah Ann would do it sometimes too. She would sneak in two pieces of 2x4,
Oh, yeah.
and when we were sitting and nobody was really paying attention, she would smack these two pieces of wood together,
Oh, sure.
and just boom, like instantly, you just like your thoughts disappear for a moment.
That must be the purpose of it then.
Yeah.
That must be the purpose. Yeah. Yeah, everybody responds to different techniques, and it's really nice to know that there's people out there who know them all and are really familiar with them all and can use them all to help people, because there will be people who will be helped by that. I'm not sure. I might jump out of my skin personally, but but I can definitely get the idea of doing that. Well, here's an example. There was a teacher, and I think some of you met him, Khenpo Tsultrim Gyaltso, and he was well known as a person who would do that kind of thing. He would have people stand up and move around and do that kind of thing. And then I remember I was having lunch with him and a group of people one day, and he was just eating lunch like a normal person, right? Just eating his soup or whatever. And then he looked up and saw a mirror on the other wall, and he said, see the reflection in that mirror? He's because he's speaking in Tibetan, and then his translator is translating, and he said, it's all like that, meaning everything is mental experience. It's all just like that. Then he just went back to eating. And then he looked up and he said, and sometimes he said, if you say, and then he shouted, "Hey!" He said, you might have an interesting experience. So I think that this is probably along the lines of the same thing, where you are startled by something, and then at that moment you look at your mind, and what some people may not know what that means, but it means you look at your experience of awareness. You just look right at that. And then usually there's nothing there to see. There's nothing there to see. And the idea is by bringing you back with this. But what's interesting about the shouting is that you do it yourself. Nobody's doing it to you. You're just shouting. And it's always, I don't know if it's always the same syllable, but it's pay, P-E, pay, really loud. But you can't do that in the middle of a crowded place. People will kind of like not like it. But if you're in a meditation retreat with people and then somebody brings the 2x4s in and it goes slap, then you know that it's not to scare you, it's actually to remind you to look right then. Because when stillness has been established and you're really still and you're feeling like you're really with the meditation and you have that sort of moment, of surprise, then it's a good time to just look right at your mind at that moment. But that's I think that not everybody can get something out of that. For some people it'd be terrifying. So I'm not an enlightened person, see, so I can't go around scaring people. I just can't do it. But I like the idea, though. I really like the idea, because when you're with such a person, you're open to it, and you're like, yeah, pinch my knees. I'm good, or have you slap your own knees and go, yes, because it's better than that. It's better when you do it yourself. I see, Ani, you have your hand up. Yeah. Oh
I was
gosh.
thinking of Zen meditation. Don't they do that
Yeah.
on a regular basis when you are facing the wall? You're sitting facing the wall, and all of a sudden somebody hits you in the back, and or on the head, or on the
Yeah.
shoulder, wherever.
I,
It just reminded me. Uh,
yeah. I
yeah.
wonder, but the idea is that, we have to find a way to unhook ourselves from conceptual thinking, because it's kind of Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, in one of his talks, he called it addictive conceptuality, because that's what kind of keeps the story of our samsara going. Like, I am in this world and I am doing these things, and this is me, and this is my story, and like, I'm going from this episode of my life to that episode of my life. And I think what he's trying to get at here is that we have to find some way to just let the mind be without being burdened by the continuous story of it all. But because being able to unhook from all that allows us to step outside of our mental afflictions and our anger. It helps us to step outside for just a moment of the story. And sometimes when we do that, then it gives us some relief from the pressure of mental afflictions, worry and anxiety and things like that. So that's kind of what comes to my mind. Any last things that people want to make sure they learn? So I'll make sure I design the next class around that. Okay. Well, then that means I can just keep going in the book. All right. All right. So next time we're going to jump ahead in the book. And we're going to jump ahead to the bringing obstacles onto path, which will be chapter 4. And so I appreciate your being here, and so forth. And then my hope is that that these little talks help in your own practice. And I really appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you and to be with you. And I'm so happy that you're supporting each other in your Dharma practice. So thank you for that. So we can sit quietly for a moment and let our mind come to rest a bit, and then we can dedicate our merit. Okay. Through this merit, may all achieve omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may we free all beings. May we free all beings. May we free all beings. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Lama Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time. Yeah, because we'll be together in July, third Thursday in July.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Thanks everybody for being here. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay,
Good night.
ohane
Bye.
peme ho.